everybody. Welcome to another episode of Director's Commentary on Wolfpack Hustle. I'll keep this short. It's really good to see you. I'm so glad you are watching these, and I hope you're enjoying them. That being said, let's dive right into it. Thanks.
All right. We've got some nice shots of the RDU airport. Because we're going on a trip. Going up to New York for the 2018 ACC men's basketball tournament. So always fun to go to those tournaments. They used to be in Greensboro just year after year after year after year. And it's like an hour and 15 away from Raleigh. So it was always fun just to go down there when I had to cover those tournaments, quick drive. Although it's fun to visit somewhere a little farther away. So this interview right here is shot in one of the tiniest rooms I've ever filmed in, inside the arena where the Brooklyn Nets play. The lighting in the room was absolutely terrible. Everything looked very green. I had like one key light with me just from how much gear am I allowed to bring with me kind of standpoint. So I just one little key light, and the lights in there were just atrocious. So that the look, how Coach Keese looks in these interviews, I had to do a fair amount of color correction to try and get it to look not green. Also, a cool thing with this intro here is almost all the footage. I don't want to say almost all, but I tried to include as much scenic New York City footage as possible into the new intro for this episode because it felt appropriate. So always cool visiting New York. It's a cool place to visit. A lot of times we stay wherever we stay. I think during this particular tournament, we stayed in Manhattan. So it's kind of cool just from the hotel, I could walk outside and just walk around New York City. That was a lot of fun. But the tournament was in Brooklyn, so I would walk to the Brooklyn Bridge, film it for a little bit. I think it might have gotten a time lapse or two. Just fun to walk around the city. It had snowed recently too, so this has something different to see. It's just really cool, as opposed to not snow in Greensboro. So this, so each team has an opportunity to have some kind of open practice in the arena that they're going to play in before their actual game. So that's what this day is. Open practice, not as in anybody and everybody can come in, but media is allowed to be there, and some of them are covering us, but others are just doing their job. They just happen to be there because serves as an office for members of the media who are there to cover the tournament as a whole or a specific team. Oftentimes I don't like to have music playing in the background, or not at practice, but when I'm showing practice, I don't like to have music. I don't like to put in music underneath it. I like to kind of just have the viewer experience these live moments with as little distraction as possible. Yeah, this room here. I think I might have like dressed that background. I put a jacket over a chair just to have some kind of something interesting in the background of this. 'Cause it's just you walk in and there's like a chair and it's just white walls and really green lights. So it wasn't the best place to film, but it was the only place we had available that was the most convenient to try and get what we needed done when. So the tough part about these tournament episodes is going into the week of me making this episode, I have no idea how much footage I'm going to work with. So for instance, this particular year, this team had a first round bye. So they don't play on the first day, but they play on the second day. And then they could play on the third day. They could play on the fourth day. They could play on the fifth day if they keep winning. Now, but I don't know that. But I have to start preparing the episode because I can't get down to Saturday night and all of a sudden I haven't even edited any part of the show. So I'm trying to do the best I can to put as much together as soon as possible so that I'm not caught off guard or caught with my back against the wall when it comes to turning the episode in. So whenever I capture some content that evening, I will go back and I will start putting together something. So I'll do there's Jeff Gravely, who now works at NC State, sports reporter in the area for a long time. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I start putting something together. So we filmed a mic'd up segment. So I'll start cutting that mic'd up segment together, ideally what it might end up being. I've got interview bites. So I'll go ahead and chop up the interview bites and I'll start laying those down in places that they might be best. But I have to be willing to pivot if I need to. Let's say by Sunday, let's say the NC State like gets to the final, then I am like, oh, okay, then basically the entire episode will be all game. I might have 30 seconds, a minute, maybe of mic'd up and interview, but then I got to go to game stuff because that's the bulk of the interesting action. But if you like just have one game, then you might have to stretch it a little bit. But the good thing is there are plenty of opportunities to capture footage in these tournament games or these tournament instances because you've got practices, you've got interviews. There's usually something fun going on with the team too that kind of takes pressure off a little bit. Sometimes they get an opportunity if they're in a different city to practice at a different arena. So like here, I think eventually too, we end up going to the Brooklyn Nets practice arena, which is pretty neat. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, these tournament games, you really have to be willing to almost throw whatever you're filming out the window if something better or more interesting comes up. And when you have that tight turnaround window, sometimes it's a bummer because you're like, oh man, I had a really good practice, but we ended up playing 3 or 4 games and you're thinking, it might be better if I had more of the 3 or 4 games than more of a practice. So if you can't tell by this episode, and if you are unaware of what actually happens during this year of the NCAA or the ACC tournament, NC State only played 1 game. So trying to stretch as much as I can without it feeling like it's dragging too much, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Because you don't have an opportunity to do anything super in depth. And it was a conscious decision on my part to do not anything super in depth because of the fact that I could do something in depth and then I end up not using it because we play 4 games. Like it's just using your best judgment to put together a good show in a short amount of time is all it is, which you do every week, but tournament play is a little bit different. So some of the stuff is just letting practice stuff play out because folks find that interesting because it gets them a look into an actual practice. And I could cut it up, and make it like energetic and very montagey, but a lot of people already do that. And also that doesn't help me with the amount of things I need to fill an episode. So yeah, we're just letting things play out. So basically what I did is after I filmed this that evening, I go back and I start cutting this up and I'm laying down all the good, or the worthwhile, I should say. There's Ethan Hyman, photographer for the News and Observer, back there in the yellow shirt. But I'm putting together basically anything that is usable down in a timeline. And then once it is determined how much game footage we actually have to work with, then I'll start cutting it out or cutting it down to try and make everything fit.
I can't thank y'all enough for checking out this episode of Director's Commentary. If you are enjoying what you are watching and you want to help support some of the stuff that I'm making, I would deeply, deeply be humbled if you considered becoming a patron. You can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Becoming a patron comes with all kinds of cool perks, and it helps me make more stuff, both in quality and in quantity, and it really would just mean the world to me. Okay, please resume watching.
All right, so now we pick it back up. Nice little shot of the Statue of Liberty. And yeah, we're at the Brooklyn Nets practice facility. Kind of cool. NBA practice facility. So this is the day after the practice you just saw. And I do not remember what I did for this because I'm thinking about it. Like, why would I show two practices back to back? I mean, if that's all I have to work with, that's all I have to work with. But I don't think I would do that. I guess we're going to find out. So yeah, it must have. So it looks like I'm just letting this entire post-practice speech from Coach Keats play out. Just to let these moments play out. If that's all I can do, that's all I can do. So that's a nice little scenic shot I have right there. Oh, I did not block out that Nike swoosh. I should have. NC State is an Adidas school. However, this is not an NC State practice facility. It was the Brooklyn Nets. So nice snowy day. Get some cool footage of some snow in New York. I'm getting right to the game. So the song playing in the background here is, I think I mentioned it last episode, but the song playing right here is a song called Brooklyn, and it is by the Youngblood Brass Band, and it's a really cool song. I felt it was kind of neat to kind of use it for this episode, and then this kind of sparked an idea in me. Is like, I think going forward, I would love to use more brass band music in this show, just to create an atmosphere, create a vibe. Because to me, brass music is very urban. Like, it comes out of cities, it comes out of busking performances. And with basketball being more of an urban city centered sport, I feel like that would be a cool combination of things. So with the way, I guess, media credentials and camera credentials work at this particular ACC tournament, only one camera was allowed per school on the court at a time. Didn't matter that I'm not officially with NC State as an organization. I'm an independent contractor, but I had my my frequent collaborator, Keishan Ganatra, with me, and he was an NC State video employee. So whatever angle, that angle right there, that's his. And I am in the back somewhere in the media room recording this game and clipping it up live. So I'll record a clip of a game, and if it's a bad play, I'll stop recording. And if it's good play, I'll hit this little button that says a shot mark, and that means I can indicate that it's a highlight for me to look at later. So that's kind of my boring job during a lot of these tournaments is not actually being on the court. Wasn't always like that, but early on it was. You saw from that slate, yeah, NC State wasn't playing well enough for Coach Keats to feel like I should be in the locker room. He wanted to keep a message private to the team, so I completely understood that. So, and I tried to time it where I was like, oh, okay, it's approaching halftime. I will run to the locker room, and sometimes I time it right, sometimes I don't. So right now we've got we got a jazz song playing in our background. This is Center Man by Nina Simone. Nina Simone is a North Carolina artist. I think it's a cool song. It has a lot of energy to it, despite it being very overall quiet and subtle. It still has a lot of energy and smoothness to it. Ooh, that was nice. Let's go, Kel. So because I'm not shooting the actual game, and also another stipulation about the ACC tournament is no cameras are allowed in huddles. So like during a timeout, no camera could go over and be in a huddle of a team. I brought that up as to why that was, and the explanation I got was, well, if we allowed you to do it, we have to allow everybody to do it. And my response was, okay, so let everybody do it. Like that's just good. It's access. Run through a few hurdles over the years of larger organizations instituting certain rules that seem counterintuitive to the needs of the individual schools. A lot of times, it can be frustrating when you're used to a certain level of access and then you are denied it, but you kind of have to roll with the punches. And sure, you can, not be happy about it. You can complain about it, but at the end of the day, if you're not in charge of making the decisions, you kind of have to leave well enough alone, or at least find a respectful way to get people to think about the way that they larger organization institute protocols and stuff. So, but with me not having a lot of control of what I wanted to capture during the game, because the game obviously did not go NC State's way, and so I felt like, man, I feel like if I was in that moment, I would have captured a lot of stuff that I might need to. And so luckily I was able to work with my guy Keishan, like I said earlier, and he's been working with me long enough to understand what I need. And so if we're not doing well, if things are going to end in a loss, and we still have to put a show out, like focus on things that show the frustration, show the hurt, because you still gotta show these things. You gotta make a show. You gotta fill time, and we'll do whatever we can. So that's why we can show maybe some frustrated looks from players and coaches as we see Coach Geeks giving a post-game press conference. And yeah, I wasn't allowed in the locker room either for that. So, yeah. One of the more frustrating episodes putting together, just because the opportunity to capture such unique and cool stuff was there. It's just when you have limited access and the team you're covering doesn't perform as well as they want to, it's a bummer. It's a bummer for everyone. But we got one more episode because NC State did end up making the NCAA tournament, which you'll watch that episode next time. We'll see what happens there, right? We just got the opportunity to show some cool snowy New York footage, which I don't know, it's pretty. It's something you don't get to capture every day. Whenever you get a chance to film something you don't see every day, that is a cool opportunity. Just as long as you find that balance of capturing that stuff and also living in the moment and appreciating the fact that you get to do that stuff. Oh, look at that. Oh man, how did I get that? That's dope.
Thank y'all so much for watching today. If you have any comments or questions about what you saw, please feel free to leave them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you enjoy these videos and you want to stay up to date on other directors' commentaries or other videos I do put out, go ahead and hit subscribe as well as ringing the bell so you get a notification every time I do make something new. And if you want to further support the stuff that I'm making, I would be so humbled if you considered becoming a patron. Becoming a patron comes with all kinds of cool perks, even outside of director's commentaries. Yeah, but that's about it. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.